In July of 1099, the Crusaders successfully, from their perspective, attacked Jerusalem and overtook the city. And as you're all aware, one of the worst massacres of medieval times took place. The entire city was massacred in the period of 10 days. Women, children, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. What was the result of that? Most of us, we jump immediately to 1187. This took place 1099. Most of us, we just jump to 1187. What happened in 1187? Salah ad-Din Ayyubi, the Battle of Hittin. But how many years between 1099 and 1187? 88, 89 years. What was that interim like? What happened during that time frame? So much. And if we don't understand the circumstances that created Salah ad-Din, if we don't understand the precursors to how Salah ad-Din came about, we're going to assume Salah ad-Din is going to come from the heavens, a miracle, and then things happen. No, it doesn't work that way. So many instances laid the foundations for Salah ad-Din Ayyubi. And today we're going to go over some of them because we are currently in that interim. We're in between 1099 and 1187. You get my drift? We're in between this. 1187 will come. Wallahi, it will come. I say this qasaman billah, that it will come because this is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So much can be said, but today I'll mention some key incidents and factors, ones that resonate with me personally, and perhaps you will understand some of what inspires me as well. Because when I look to the past, I don't jump to Salah ad-Din, I go to how Salah ad-Din began. I go to the whole trend, that where did it all begin from? And one of the people who started this entire trend was actually one of the scholars in a neighboring town of Damashq, of Damascus. In the neighboring town of Damascus, the chief qadi, whose name is Zainul Islam al-Harawi, Zainul Islam al-Harawi, he was giving a halaqah in the masjid of Damascus. You know the famous masjid of Damascus, right? July 1099, the massacre is taking place in Aqsa. And groups of people began fleeing for their lives. And they barge into the Masjid al-Umawi, and our guy, Zainul Islam al-Harawi, he's giving his halaqah in the Grand Masjid. And they see these people, refugees, bloodied, tattered, everything. And they're yelling and screaming. There's a mob being created, and he's in the masjid. What's going on? What happened? And they say the Afranj, the Franks, have attacked Aqsa. And we are some of the few that have survived. We have brought the copy of the Mus'haf of Uthman radiallahu anh, and they began telling the stories that they have seen with their own eyes. Women and children mercilessly killed, the streets of Aqsa and Jerusalem flowing with blood. And so Zainul Islam al-Harawi decided that he needed to do something. And so al-Harawi decided he will go back to Baghdad and try his best to get the Khalifa to rescue Masjid al-Aqsa. And so he shuts his books, no more teaching. This is not the time to teach now. Masjid al-Aqsa is burning. And he closes his maktab and he decides to travel from Damascus to Baghdad, the capital of the Abbasid Empire at the time, to present his case, he actually brought some of these people with him. He took them with him and he decided to make a plea to the Abbasid Khalifa. He enters Baghdad, but the Khalifa's staff basically says he doesn't have time for you. You're not going to meet the Khalifa. We don't have time. Just delay a few weeks, whatever. So tries, nothing happens. On Friday in Baghdad, when the khutbah is being given, he walks into the crowd in the largest masjid of Baghdad. So this is now the capital of the empire. And the largest masjid of Baghdad, he walks in the middle and everybody is listening to the khatib, and it is Ramadan. And he turns around, takes some bread, and he eats in front of everybody. Now, what's going to happen in a Muslim community if you eat in the day of Ramadan? What's going to happen? Chaos. The people stood up. Have you gone mad? How dare you? Astaghfirullah. You're eating in the masjid in the daylight of Ramadan. Have you lost your mind? And he said to them, you are getting angry at me for eating a piece of bread in Ramadan. But where are your emotions when Aqsa is on fire? Where is that rage? Where is this anger? You get angry at a Muslim for eating in the Nahar of Ramadan, in the day of Ramadan, and 150,000 people have been killed. Where is your anger now? Everybody's silenced. SubhanAllah, it worked to get into the private chambers, to get into the office and the palace of the Khalifa. And he's speaking to the Khalifa now. We don't know the words of what he said. We know the impact. The chroniclers record everybody in the chamber fell silent. People were crying in the corners. Even the Khalifa had to lower his head in shame. And only one or two phrases are preserved. And he said to the Khalifa, here you are in your palaces, enjoying your luxuries. And he pointed to the luxuries they're enjoying. And Aqsa has been ravaged, rampaged, raped. And you don't even move a finger for Aqsa. The Khalifa does not even have an army to do anything. He doesn't even control Baghdad much. He's just a token figure with plenty of wealth and money. The real power is not even in his hands, but he mumbles and whatnot, and nothing actually comes of this. By the way, again, you should know this. Don't think that our rulers of the past were any different. The ruler of Aleppo at the time, the ruler of Halab, his name has been recorded in history as somebody who, nobody admires him. His name was Rwan or Ridwan. And in fact, when the European army, when the Frank army, when the Crusaders were coming in to attack Palestine, Ridwan was engaged in a civil war with his own blood brother, who's going to hold the kursi. And as the Crusaders are marching in, literally this is no exaggeration, they go under their noses, meaning, walking distance, fighting distance, and they're not interested. Two blood brothers, because their father was the governor, the mini dynasty, and now who's going to be the one in charge? They're having a war between them, and the Crusaders are marching in. Who's going to attack them when you're fighting each other? So this guy Ridwan is now in charge now, and he's in charge of this area, Halab. And can you believe Ridwan had actually signed treaties with the local Crusader dynasty, paying them gold so that they don't attack his principality. You think peace treaties are new? You think normalization is new? It goes back, nothing new. Ridwan would rather ally with the Crusader against his own brother. That's what he ended up doing. He allied with a Frankish mini dynasty because he wanted the kursi, and against his Muslim brethren, you're not going to get it. He's paying gold to them. And the locals of Halab, of Aleppo, they considered him to be a traitor, obviously. And amongst them, their main alim, the greatest alim of Halab of that time, his name was Ibn al-Khashab. Ibn al-Khashab, Al-Qadi Abu al-Fadl Ibn al-Khashab, he began riling up the masses even against the own ruler, against this guy Ridwan, calling him a traitor. How can you ally with the enemy? Instead of fighting them, you're paying them gold. And now they're going to encroach on our own territory, because that was the fear now, that they're going to enter Halab. And Ibn al-Khashab managed to get a group of people to once again send a delegation to Baghdad once again. While there seems no hope, there is no light, the scholars have to do something to keep that light alive. They have to keep Masjid al-Aqsa. They have to keep the realities of Islam and our faith in the minds of the people. Back to our guy, Ridwan. Ridwan did not want the Muslims to succeed because he's comfortable and the Crusaders are protecting him. But Allah Azza wa Jal works in ways we don't understand. Eventually, even Ridwan fell out and he died as well, because this is the sunnah of Allah. Traitors are never successful. And with Ridwan passing away, there was a power vacuum in which eventually, within a few years, a dynasty comes in that vacuum. That dynasty, you're all aware of it. It is the Zangid dynasty. When Ridwan dies, the Zangid dynasty comes to power. And in the Zangid era, ulama are preaching once again. There are so many ulama of the Zangid era, so many ulama preaching, riling up the masses. And we all know the story from here. Imad ad-Din al-Zangi, he puts it in his mind, I need to free. He passes away. Nur ad-Din al-Zangi, he takes it on. He passes away, and then Salah ad-Din comes. And the rest, as they say, is history. But I want to conclude on this point. Those who died in the first 2, 3, 4 decades after the Crusades, did they die in vain? They laid the foundations for what was to come. That optimism, it came because ulama had the audacity to speak directly to the khulafa. Because ulama kept the memory of Aqsa alive. Because the people's heart was so powerful and strong, even the viziers and the sultans had to listen and do small things. And those small things started a wave that the khulafa did not intend. Salah ad-Din Ayyubi was not chosen by any khalifa. You have to understand this point. Aqsa was not rescued by the khulafa. It wasn't rescued by the politicians. No. In the vacuum and the chaos that was created, people came who were warrior princes and who had faith in their hearts.